for millennia and continues to today, partly because it can be framed in many different ways. By human nature do we mean expressed behaviors that are unique to humans and not seen in other animals? Do we mean ones that are completely universal across all members of the species, or ones that are innate and instinctive and not dependent at all on maturation or experience? If those are the bars that are set, then not much gets over them. But if instead we define human nature as a set of behavioral capacities or tendencies that are typical of our species, some of which may nevertheless be shared with other animals, and which may be expressed either innately or require maturation or experience to develop, then the list is long and much less contentious. Humans tend to walk upright, be active during the day, live in social groups, form relatively stable pair bonds, rely on vision more than other senses, eat different kinds of food, and so on. A zoologist studying humans would say they are bipedal, diurnal, gregarious, monogamous, visual, and omnivorous. All of these traits are shared by some other species, but that overall profile characterizes humans. And humans have capacities for highly dexterous movements, tool use, language, humor, problem-solving, abstract thought, and so on. Many of those capacities are present to some degree in other animals, but they are vastly more developed in humans. The actual behaviors may only emerge with maturation and may depend to some extent on learning and experience, but the capacities themselves are inherent. Indeed, even our capacity to learn from experience is itself an innate trait. Though our intellect separates us from other animals by enabling the development of language and culture which shape all of our behaviors, our underlying nature is a product of evolution, the same as for any other species. Simply put, humans have those species' general tendencies and capacities because they have human DNA. If we had chimp DNA or tiger DNA or aardvark DNA, we would behave like chimps or tigers or aardvarks. The essential nature of these different species is encoded in their genomes. Somehow, in the molecules of DNA in a fertilized egg from any of these species is a code or program of development that will produce an organism with its species-typical nature. Most importantly, that entails the specification of how the brain develops in such a way that wires in these behavioral tendencies and capacities. Human nature, thus defined, is encoded in our genomes and wired into our brains in just the same way. This is not a metaphor. The different natures of these species arise from concrete differences in some physical properties of their brains. Differences in overall size, structural organization, connections between brain regions, layout of microcircuits, complement of cell types, neurochemistry, gene expression, and many other parameters all contribute in varied ways to the range of behavioral tendencies and capacities that characterize each species. It's all wired in there somehow. Human nature thus need not be merely an abstract philosophical topic. It is scientifically tractable. We can look experimentally at the details of how our species' typical properties are mediated in neural circuitry, and we can seek to uncover the nature of the genetic program that specifies the relevant parameters of these circuits. The Word made flesh. To understand this genetic program, it is crucial to appreciate the way in which information is encoded in our genomes and how it gets expressed. It is not like a blueprint, where a given part of the genome contains the specifications of a corresponding part of the organism. There is not, in any normal sense of the word, a representation of the final organism contained within the DNA. Just as there is no preformed homunculus curled up inside the fertilized egg, there is no simulacrum of the organism strung out along its chromosomes. What is actually encoded is a program, a series of developmental algorithms or operations mediated by mindless biochemical machines that, when carried out faithfully, will result in the emergence of a human being. This is not a reductionist view. The DNA doesn't do any of this by itself. The information in the genome has to be decoded by a cell, the fertilized egg in the first place, which also contains important components required to kick the whole process off. And, of course, the organism has to have an environment in which to develop, and variation in environmental factors.